my Instagram ad is FG4Hunt. This is my turbo FG4 Civic. This is my second time on the channel. So previously you guys saw the supercharged setup, but we made some changes. Unfortunately blew the motor, but we're back. We got new changes, so here it is. The biggest changes is the supercharger is no longer there. So the engine bay is looking a lot more OEM plus aside from the other aftermarket parts, but we blew the motor. The supercharger was pushing upwards of 450 horsepower on the stock motor, and it had over 120,000 miles on it, so it lived a good life, but it was time to go. So we pulled the motor out, and since we had it out, we decided to throw the turbo kit in. So it's a PRL turbo kit. It's a Precision 5862 journal bearing turbo, so pretty basic kit, super popular for the 9th gen platform. Alpha injectors, AEM fuel pump, pretty much the same fuel system that we were running before. Not too many changes there, but aside from the turbo kit, we ended up switching up to Skunk 2 Ultra Street manifold with the 0.5 liter spacer, and then ported by Bad Guys, so definitely helping us there and getting some nice airflow into the motor. And then same fuel return system. We switched over to the boost controller since the supercharger uses a boost gauge, so now we're controlling our boost at right around 11 psi. So with that boost on the motor and the fueling setup, we're pushing about 430 to the wheels. As far as performance and visuals, we'll just kind of go left to right. Passport motor mounts. We have the motor mounts for the passenger side, trans, and the rear mount, so definitely trying to hold the motor in place and put the power to the ground. Ultra racing strut bar, so just trying to help tighten everything up. I'm not a huge Canyon guy, but it's nice to have more of a rigid setup. Chasing J's titanium coil pack cover, just another little visual piece to add some flavor to the car. Skunk 2 Racing composite fuel rail, so this is actually a really nice one. A lot of the other big companies on the market tend to use aluminum or something that's metal and tends to heat up the fuel, so this is a super nice fuel rail. Skunk 2 Racing again. So alpha injection injectors here, 1650s, super nice injectors. Never had any problems for how big they are as far as daily driving the car, startups, cold starts. The car's on fully 85, so they work like a charm. Other than that, over here we have the Dutchworks fuel pressure regulator to go along with the fuel return system. So that's definitely helping fuel the car between the injectors and the fuel system there. Over here we have Skunk 2 Racing Ultra Street manifold featuring the 0.5 liter spacer, and then ported by Bad Guys. This is part of the PRL turbo kit that I'm running. So besides the coupler here and the piping for the blow-off valve there, it looks pretty sleeper, but if you come down here, I did take the grill off, that way you can see the intercooler and have a little bit more of a mean look if you know what you're looking at. Pretty basic on the outside. I just have like a OEM style HFP kit for like the front lips, side skirts, and then rear lips. Super basic, you know, with how strict California is, kind of less is more as far as looks with your car. RPF 1's probably the most basic wheel on the market, but you know, it's the best bang for your buck. Zestino Gredge 07 RS tires, something a little stickier, R compound tire to you know, hook up a little bit better. So other than that, pretty simple on the exterior of the car. We have a little bit of vinyl wrap on the roof and the trunk, just to add a little bit of flavor to the car, but you also know how Honda paint can be, so trying to be a little proactive there. We do have a little carbon fiber trunk spoiler here, password JDM, so again, something to add a little flavor to the car, but not something that's going to jump out huge, like a huge you know, carbon wing or anything like that. But other than that, titanium SI emblem, again, something super simple just to kind of make the car a little bit more unique. And then that's really it as far as the exterior of the car. I am catless. It's catless from the turbo downpipe to the exhaust, but the catback is a NVIDIA Q300 exhaust, so something that has like a deeper, nice, like throaty tone for California, not something that's going to be super raspy, super over the top, anything that's, you know, super high in decibels. So very nice exhaust, has a nice tone, but not anything that's going to be you know, rattle can your typical straight pipe cars. One of the first mods was the Buddy Club steering wheel. It's a lot thicker than the OEM steering wheel, so it does feel super nice in the hand, even in a stock car with nothing done to it. That's a really nice you know, comfortable driving piece. We're running an Acuity short shifter here. Again, a really nice piece for the car. Even if this was your first or second mod, it makes the driving experience a whole lot more fun. Up top is a D&D carbon fiber shift knob, so something that doesn't get hot or cold with temperature swings. I mean, California summertime is brutal, so something simple there. Hondata sitting over here, holding our tune from Darden. Back here we have a Dakota digital box. So I do have a built transmission, 1 through 5 built gears. So basically what that does is corrects my speedometer. I insert the turbo ratios into the computer there, and corrects my speedometer. So if you have a built trans and you're having that issue, Dakota digital box is your best friend. Basically with my supercharger setup, I was pushing about 446 on around 14-15 psi, and when we switched to the turbo setup, we went with a little bit less power just to be a little bit safer, but a lot less boost. So turbo, we made 430 horsepower on 11 psi, so it's a lot safer for the motor in terms of the supercharger turbo switch off, because the turbo does have a lot more torque, but as far as the numbers and the graphs go, you know, after talking with my tuner, and if my old supercharger setup identical was to run this turbo setup, it would be a good run, but by about 40 or 50 miles an hour from a 20 roll, the turbo would outrun the supercharger. So a little bit less power, a little bit less boost, but working a lot more efficiently and complementing the motor in the car a lot better. I got to experience the supercharger. I felt like I was kind of missing out on the turbo, but now I felt both, and they're both super fun. It kind of just depends on what you want to use the car for. When you think of a boosted Civic, you usually think turbo, so it's nice to have the turbo noises, the blow-off valve, the wastegate, and all that stuff. But the supercharger is also a really nice kit. It kind of just comes down to what you want to use your car for. Like if I was going to go track-based, I would probably go with the supercharger. But you know, daily driving the car, you know, street driving the car the way I do, I do enjoy having the turbo set up a lot more. It seems like it's, you know, a little bit more efficient for the car, and it's a little bit easier to push the limits of the power. I think if I was going to do a supercharger, I would set my sights a little bit lower, maybe like around 350, just to have a little bit more reliable setup. The turbo does have the boost lag, you know, the supercharger is a little bit more instant, but you know, there's things that you can do. You can learn to brake boost and such, and just kind of learn to drive the car a little bit better. It's definitely a difference. It takes some adjusting from the supercharger to the turbo, just learning the lag and, you know, everything that goes along with that, but I do enjoy the turbo more. If you're thinking about one or the other, just figure out what you want to do, how you're going to drive the car, where you're going to drive it, how much power you want, and then come up with a plan. After the last video, I got tons and tons of DMs about, you know, should I go supercharger, you know, questions just about your supercharger kits, and I have no problem answering them. But yeah, guys, just try and figure out what you want to do with the car. Figure out a power goal. If you just want it to be a street car, if you want to take it to the track sometimes, and that'll kind of help you dictate, you know, a better plan for your car as far as parts, financing, because you don't want to buy stuff that you don't need. So definitely come up with a plan, figure out what you want for the car, and it'll definitely be better off. Well, I know one big question that everyone has is what's next for the car. Nothing major. I mean, we just pulled the motor out, put the turbo kit in January, made great power, so I'd like to leave it alone. There's a few other, you know, small aesthetic things I'd like to take care of, but ultimately just keep it healthy, you know, keep it in one piece. So with that said, you know, I'd like to shout out all the people that have helped with the car so far. I mean, from FBO, supercharger, to the turbo build. You know, Alpha Injection has always been a huge help. Lost Motorsports, Ralph is always putting in work, helping me do shit on my car that, you know, I'm not willing to do, or, you know, don't have the knowledge for. You know, Tire Bullies, keeping me set up with fresh rubber so we can put the power to the ground. You know, when I first went from FBO to Boost, we were not hooking with those tires, so definitely some nice guidance there for, you know, a good tire. Dart and Tune, the man, always with the sauce tunes. I will never ever let anyone else touch my car. I understand everyone loves their tuner, but Darden's the man. He's never done my car wrong. and I will stick with him as long as I can. D's Garage, always helping me out with other stuff around my car, whether it's, you know, lights, this, that, or the other. D's Garage is always down to help out, so major shout out to him. And then one of the last ones on there is Villa Wraps out in San Bernardino, Riverside area. Homie's always helps me out with, you know, supplies, you know, any job I needed done. So between, you know, that group of guys there, I really appreciate all of you. The car appreciates you. I love taking this thing out. I love, you know, seeing all the love that, you know, people have towards the car, and it really is a reflection of, you know, all the help that I've received from you guys and all the time and hard work that's gone into the car.